Hey y'all. Good morning, y'all. My bad. Y'all can see I'm all over the place. I made it though. I'm here. Friday, weed and happiness. Alright. Ed, I owe you a phone call. I would love to be the guest host for the Universal Circus. The guest ringleader for the Universal Circus. Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm late, 9:25 in the morning time. I was with clients. Y'all have to forgive me. I wasn't with clients. I was on freezing. It's got to stop. I don't understand why this freezing is going on. Y'all saw it just freeze a minute ago. Serena's going to see the Lion King this morning. All right. At the Community Center. All right. I can, Don. You will have to give me a call. Because I need to find somebody who can suit your needs, Don. Shoot me a DM or shoot me a text, 240-761-5931. I got you. 240-761-5931. One of my favorite, let me tell y'all one of my favorite things in the whole world is brand new ink pens. I'm petty. I don't need watches and jewelry. I don't need expensive cars. I don't need, all that type shit. But I'm gonna tell you what. Juana, what up? I'm gonna tell you what. Brand new ink pens, socks and drawers, that's my thing. I love a brand new fresh ink pen and pad of clean white paper. It's like a little gift from God. Then you gotta take the little thing off the ink pen to make it right. Like a gift from God. I just love it. And a nice pen. Call Don back. It's so smooth. And then we got these new pens with this little thing right here. Man. You like this t-shirt? You like that t-shirt? We can get you one of these. I can get you one of these real soon, Shireen. Don, I already texted you pictures of the house and everything. Okay. In my DMs or you texting them to me directly? He needs realtor in New York. Gotcha. Tiffany, how you doing? Shireen? They gonna put me under the big top for the Universal Circus. You know what I'm trying to say. Yep, we're officially old when we get excited over new pens and drawers. I've always been like this. Now, you don't understand. This come from officially poor. This come from officially under the poverty level. I realized that there were certain things that, certain things just bring me joy. As a let me show you, D. As a, I was an art major, D. So I draw. I can't help but doodle and draw all day, every on everything. Like I always I doodle on everything, right? And so for me, a pen and a pad is like freedom. Like a brand new pen is like freedom. It's like I get to sit and do that. And so that's why I get excited. Now I knew we was you right about being old over the shit we get excited about. I get excited over a nap. That's how I knew I was old. And ain't nothing like a nap. Abraham Godwin understand what I mean. He's an architect. So when you get your hands on a pen, you can't. It's like freedom. It's like okay, while you sitting there talking about whatever you talking about, I'm over here drawing little Clair characters and shit like that. You understand what I'm saying? Like You know what I mean? Like I'm drawing him right now. So while I'm sitting here talking to y'all, I'm sitting here drawing little Joe Clair characters, and y'all can't see it, and I can't help it. But this what I do every time I get my hands on an ink pen or something like that. You see what I'm saying? I draw I draw the little figures. I can't help it. I can't. It's So it's my thing. So anyway. Happy Friday, everybody. Sorry I'm late, 9:30 in the morning time. Listen, I was working with clients this morning. They have a conundrum. These clients have a $1.2 million property that they are considering moving from, right? To downsize. They want to downsize into something, but now they want to make sure that they downsize into something that they absolutely, positively love. Only problem is there's very little inventory to make them happy. So they may be purchasing a condo. The husband still wants to yard work and everything like that. The wife is like, we can forget all of that and we can go live in a beautiful, nice new condominium with concierge service and the whole nine. So. It's a $1.4 million property. Joe, the real estate agent, the comedian, the newscaster, and the doodler. Yup. So, Kevin, commissions generally are a real estate transactions. Commissions is about 6% of the transaction, and half of it goes to the buyer's agent, half of it goes to the seller's agent. These days, you have to play with that commission. Sometimes it's 2.5. Sometimes you'll give an extra. You give a point away over there and a point away over there to help the transaction go around. But you do the math, Kevin. You see what I'm saying? So 3% on 1.4. But that's only if you can get the job done. If you can't get the job done, you don't get a goddamn thing. You don't get nothing. And a lot of people, it's dope to me that a lot of people say, well, realtors don't do nothing. I'd be like, shit. He says some agencies allow you to keep 80% of your commission. Some agencies allow you to keep 100% of your commission. Depending on how it works out. Sometimes you pay the brokerage for each of the services that you want to use, that the brokerage has to incur an expense for, and you pay them back out of your commission, or you pay them up front and you keep 100% of your commission. Sometimes that 80% covers the cost of having you on as an agent. So your business cards, when you need to put a sign up in the yard, your transaction coordinator, anybody that you need, any resources that you need that come out of the brokerage. That's why the brokerage may retain 20% of your commission to pay for those costs, because they add up. Shit, stamps add up, postcards add up, all that stuff adds up, and so that's how that works. That's how that works, Kevin. Good morning, Ursula. Happy Friday. That's how that works, Mr. Kevin. I see with homegirl house that poor woman has to think and do everything. What woman? What homegirl? Anyway, who else got real estate? Let's talk real estate today. Let's talk black real estate today. We talking black real estate today. Black real estate today, bitch. Because real estate needs to be at the top of our minds. It is the number one biggest way that America makes money. Y'all know that's how one of the biggest ways America makes money is by taxing the land. Taxing the land. The property tax is one of the biggest sources of income for the United States of America ever. You understand what I mean? That's how we make a bunch of our money. That's why your property taxes, that's why your school system looks like it does, the roads look like they do, how your police force is, your trash pickup, all of that comes from, you know, the taxes that you pay to your municipality. Like you might pay taxes for your county, then you pay Fed taxes, and then there's property taxes, right? And property taxes, how we take care of being America. You see what I'm saying? It's directly tied into our economy in a giant way. That's why the global economy, y'all remember when they were doing the subprime loans, let's examine that for a second. Subprime lending and predatory lending money to people who did not have the resources to pay it back. A lot of brothers and sisters got swept up in that. I don't know if you remember the Prince George's County. Nicole, you've seen it. Ashley, you've seen it, but we'll talk about that in a second. Did you know that, so you remember, 2008, there is a global crash that is tied to the American housing situation, right? When the housing in America crashed, the housing market crashed, and it sent shockwaves around the world. You understand what it means? That's how important real estate and property in America are. The housing market in America had a problem. It sent shockwaves around the globe. Stopped the economy around the globe. Not just in America. Not just state to state. We talking about the whole globe was affected by the properties in America. That's how important and how impactful American real estate is. And if you think about it from those terms, and you sort of reverse engineer or think backwards, you can then see why real estate appreciates so much, why people buy out hoods and gentrify them. It's American property that we just sitting there taking for granted or letting become run down or not taken care of when you sitting on a gold mine. The whole world wants American real estate. That's the part that don't really think about. American real estate is one of the safest bets on the planet, not just in America, on the whole planet. That's why you see people from all over the globe buy real estate in America. If you Google right now, how much property does China own in America? You'll find out. How much property do Russians own in America? You'll find out. I'm trying to tell you something. Yeah, Anthony Roberts says, I didn't think of our stability as impacting the world that much. Because we in it. We in it every day, and we don't think nothing for us. It's just what it is. But our real estate, one of the most sought after things on the planet. It's right up there next to gold and everything else. And we live in these houses. We be throwing our grandmother's house away. We'll live in a home and won't pay no attention, be beefing with the neighbors and shit like that. Just come and go. Only to realize somebody came and bought the house and now it's worth, I sold it for $200,000, now it's worth $1.2 million if I'd have just held on to it. Or if you'd have just done the research while you were living in it. Or not even done the research, if only we had the knowledge if this knowledge is front of mind, top of mind, while we're living in these situations or living in these fabulous properties, shit would turn out different. Think about it. They in sub, y'all know the difference with subprime lending and predatory lending is, right? Subprime lending is like there's prime and then there's subprime, right? Prime is good, subprime, you got a lot of shit, but we'll take a risk on you. We'll take a little risk on you. You got to show us more documentation, but we'll take a risk on you. Well, if I'm, let's say I'm a bank and I'm loaning out money, and I have 100 people. 50 of these people have incredible credit, and they pay their bills all the time. When I lend them money, right, and I show that on paper, the people that I show this paper to say, great, those 50 people look incredible on paper. We would love for you to loan you more money so you can continue to lend to them because they pay their bills on time. They have great credit scores. And when they have great credit scores, it looks good for the entire ecosystem that we work in when it comes to lending and borrowing money, right? But then you got 50 people over here whose credit is not so good, whose credit is, hold on a second, they're risky. They're a bit more of a risk. Right? So what they do is they say, okay, these people have to show us more documentation and give us more reason why we should loan them our money. Because when we show this paper around, those 50 people look really, really, really bad. Well, what America did was give those 50 people mortgages, right? And not only did they give them mortgages, they gave them mortgages that were, some of them, that had adjustable rates. And what does that mean? That means for those people over there who's got, I'm going to give you the best rate because your credit is so good, you can get the best rate from the people that I'm going to get this money from to give to you, right? And at that rate is locked in. We're not going to touch it because you're such a great customer and we understand how credit works. You get it. But these people right here, since they're not as knowledgeable and they don't have as many options, here's another option for you. How about I give you an adjustable rate mortgage on that beautiful house that you fell in love with? Oh, you love that home, don't you? Well, right now I can get you in there, and what I did is what the banks did is they lowered the interest rate in the beginning. Now the rate followed the market. So if the market went up, the rate went up. So if you got your loan at this rate this year, next year it could be a different rate, and the next year it could be a different rate. And those percentage points are pennies or parts of a penny on a dollar, but when you're adding up, when you're talking thousands or even millions of dollars that you have borrowed, those points of a penny add up. So if you got into your house at this percentage, and this payment is $2,000 a month, and then it jumps just a little bit, that $2,000 just became $2,200, $2,300, $2,500, $2,800, $3,000. As a matter of fact, there's a payment that's due. It's called a balloon payment. So they did those loans. These banks, the same banks we have today, made those risky ass loans, gave them to people that they knew couldn't pay that money, or at least on paper it looks like this is a bad loan, gave them out, and it fucked up the whole world. Why do I keep reiterating that? Because you and I live in this system every single day. A global system that could, a local system that has impacts around the globe, and we treat it like, nah, it's nothing. Nah, it's some bullshit. I'm not even, And we wonder why, and then come back and say, well, how can we keep getting the short end of the stick? Because we didn't realize what kind of stick we had. We didn't realize how what we were working with. You feel me? You understand what I mean? Them balloon payments and all those other things. Y'all do know in 2008 or 2009, 10, 11, 12. So the 2008 meltdown was so impactful, so big, and such a huge thing that People who have been building, reputable companies who have been building homes in America for years cannot borrow another dime to build more homes. So let's say I'm a home builder, right? And I got an order for 1,000 homes to be built in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. It's not like I just sit and have all the money sitting right here to go build 1,000 homes. I have to go borrow the money from a lender to take care, to buy the materials and pay for labor to build the properties and then pay back the loan, right? That's how this works, right? People borrow money all day long. Well, after 2008, the banks was like, I ain't giving y'all motherfuckers another dime. You can't borrow shit. You can't borrow a motherfucking thing. So all the biggest home builders in America drastically cut down on the number of homes they built. Therefore, 10 years later, we don't have no homes. 2018 wasn't no homes. Then the pandemic hit. People were like, well, I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to sell. Then the pandemic stopped and everybody's like, I need a house. And the people who have selling like, I'm still not selling. But the people who buy like, I need a house. And there's no houses. And that's why we are where we are right now. Anybody got questions? Come on, who got real estate questions? Come on, give me a question. And ain't no black people gonna be out there building shit. You may be able to find one or two contractors or architects, but the majority of those people out there getting paid to build America are going to be of Central American and South American descent. Yes and no. Will. I actually know a couple of very talented home builders, and my last contractor, I had two. I bumped. My new contractor is an African American guy, but this is a very studious and very, 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 very business minded African American. Is it true you can't own land in DC? That is not true. You can't own the federal land in DC, but the other land, if you buy a home, you own that land. That's your house. Now there are huge parts of Washington DC that are, let me make sure, but there are huge parts of Washington DC that are owned by the federal government. But let's do a double check. Let's make sure. I thought we covered this before. Can you own land in Washington, D.C.? Yes. So there's huge swaths of land in Washington, D.C. that are owned by the federal government. When they made D.C. the nation's capital, the District of Columbia became what it was. And so there are huge swaths of this area that the federal government owns. And some residents live on that property, and you can't own that. But other land, the majority of the land in the city, yes. And you pay property taxes on that motherfucker. So you can, it is not true that you can't own land in DC. You can own land in DC. How do I get a house with my housing choice voucher? Get on the phone, Mary. So Mary brings up one of the best things that I've ever seen in America. And it's using programs that are set aside by whatever organization to help people get to where they're trying to get. Buying a home in America can be difficult. So there are organizations from the financial side, from the housing side, from what builders, from the county, the state, and the federals that help you get that done. So she has a housing choice voucher. Those are just phone calls, Mary. Mary, you really just sitting on making a bunch of phone calls, doing your due diligence, and getting in your house. It's really that. You got a bunch of phone calls to make. And I'm sure any of those letters that you have all of the phone calls and all of the people that you need to talk to get that process started. And that's how, shit, all you got to do is look on the back of them pieces of paper, that little fine print, call that person. Because what's really dope is all of those offices where you have to, where you're using a program, they have people working in there who are dying to help you get into the program. If I was you, Mary, not only would I call, I would try to show up at an office or two in person. In person goes way further than a phone call. So if you can go downtown right quick, unannounced even, and, get something accomplished to help you get into the home that you've been looking for, I say it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I was locked up in Buffalo, and the 23 times I spoke in the 90 days I was in that joint, them niggas clown me for hours. Talk about nigga got a Fed charge for drinking in public. Yeah, Will, you got a Fed charge for being drunk in DuPont Circle. Yeah, you got you got to watch that, Will. She says you can never own land anywhere. Just don't pay those taxes. I'm not following you, Malika, Angela Williams. I'm not following. In my area, Don says, in my area, there are a bunch of houses for sale for $1,000. Isn't the land it sits on worth more than that? He says, is it worth it? Well, let's talk about if it's worth it or not. You have to assess the value for that community, right? If you don't pay property taxes, they will take your property. So that's why you never own your property. I follow what you're saying. And that is true. If you do not pay your top property taxes, they can come and take your property. That's why she says you cannot own property. However, when you do pay your property taxes, you own that land. You've seen people claim sovereignty time and time again in America. The feds couldn't come into their homes or things of that nature because you can't come in here without that warrant. You can't do those things. This is my land. You cannot be here. Remember how long they had that standoff with David Koresh because they couldn't just, you can't just. You have to get approval from a judge. They have to say yes and so on and so forth. So in theory, I feel what you're saying. However, Malakia, I don't want that to turn off anyone from following this process because while that in theory is true, we have watched wealthy landowners in America kill the game again and 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 again. How did he make his money? He's a wealthy landowner. He's a landowner. He's a landowner. He's a landowner. He is a landowner. He is a landowner. He is a landowner. All right, so let's talk about these two things. In my area, there are a bunch of houses for sale for $1,000. Isn't the land it sits on worth more than that? They are tore up houses, but is it worth it? Well, here's the thing. If they're sitting there for $1,000 now, right? And you don't see any wealthy people coming in and can't wait to buy it. You have to ask yourself, okay, what's going on here that these houses are $1,000 and why isn't anyone buying them? The land underneath them is worth more than that. You have to watch what the trends are. Now, it may be that right now those houses are only worth $1,000 and that land is shitty. But a decade from now, those houses may be worth $1 million and that land may be worth everything. You have to see what the trends are. Where are people moving? Is there any new business coming there? Why would people want to live in this neighborhood? Because all of the trends that we can see now say that nobody wants to live here, and that's why we could sell houses for $1,000. You understand? You know what I'm saying? And that's how that works. So you got to do the due diligence on those $1,000 homes and find out if it's worth it for you or not. There are some people who can't wait to live in that $1,000 home, and if you fix it up and start getting renters in there, now you're getting passive income from having a renter in a place that they love. Absolutely are so happy to have. Malika says, adequate housing is a human right. No one should be paying for housing. They stole our land and sell it back to us. Gentrification is hurting the masses of people. And I hear exactly what you're saying. At the same time, Michaela, in America, everything, all of the things that we think are basic human rights, we live in a capitalist system. This is capitalism. And everything we want, even the water, comes with a price. That's the system that we live in. What should happen and what does happen and what's going to happen are two totally, different things. We can have, I feel, as a social worker who works with homeless people, I feel where you coming from. But as a realtor who works in housing, I also understand that side. So I sit right in the middle of the two and try to bridge the gap from what should be and what is to where we can find a happy medium. And I think that America is slow to get to happy mediums because we stay so much on the extremes. You follow me? I know we all should have housing, but then who's going to pay for it? And then when it comes down to paying for it, hey, we have a pool of money because we took property taxes. Here goes all the money right here. Oh, let's spend it on making houses for the people who need them. Hold on a second. Wait. You're going to take what money and build affordable housing? Because the affordable housing does not generate any more tax dollars for us. And we're going to need these tax dollars to take care of these schools, these roads, and blah, 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 blah. So with affordable housing, and I work extensively in affordable housing, where rubber meets the road is super, 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 super tricky. Because you have to come up with the plan and the money to make it all make sense at the end of the day. And before, remember, they built public housing. And what did they call it? Michaela? Anybody remember what they called it when they built public housing back in the 40s, 50s, 30s? Anybody remember? It was called a project. You know why? Because they were trying to see if this shit could work. It's a project. It's a project. You get it? It's a project. Did the project work out well? They called it Project, Darrell. They called it the project. It was a project, like a school project. When all the people moved and migrated from the South and they had public housing, it was called a housing project. Because we want to see how this shit work out. You understand? But stick with me, everybody. It was called a project because of back to what Michaela was talking about earlier. Can we find a way to make capitalism and the social needs of our people work hand in hand? Can we actually make it so that tax dollars take care of the most needy and the most vulnerable amongst us to a standard of living that everybody likes? And we saw how that played out. You saw how that played out. It's a project. It's a project. So, me, Michaela, I sit and I watch what is, and I know what should be. I know what people need. I work in, social services. And let's break that down. It's 10 o'clock, but we gotta go. Socialism, everybody says They say Democrats are socialists, right? That socialism is where everybody gets taken care of, right? You know, socially, we want to give out programs to make sure that the whole country is taken care of. Capitalism is like, no. You get more shit the more money you have, so you better get yourself some money. When we talk about housing or helping the homeless or helping anyone or vulnerable, we're talking about where capitalism and socialism have to come together. And these two ideologies do not necessarily mix, because capitalists just fundamentally think that that these motherfuckers should be up every day getting some money anyway. That's what the project was about. The project was about, okay, if we give people affordable housing in these northern cities and let them have factory jobs or car wash jobs or maid jobs or the little pieces of labor that they need, they can use that money to then move out to a regular single family home. That's what the project was for. It was for you to come, move here, find yourself a little job, save your money, and move on. People don't save their money. And if you never had no money, you don't know how to save it. Whole lot of things went down that just didn't happen, right? That didn't further the let's build more houses like this, because people get in here and they get out in 6 months, they owning their own home. As we saw, people spent generations in the projects. It did not lend itself to prosperity. It did not lend itself to socio-economic moving that way. You saw some people who did, but for the majority, it was a crutch, right? And so we at this place where you're trying to get money and cause to come together. And when you're trying to do those things, you have to show money while this cause makes me more money. If not, because this is what money is for. Money is for making more money. That's how people with money think about money. The only reason we have it is to make more of it. I don't make more of it by giving it to people who don't know how to take care of it and make more out of it. So therefore, I won't go spend more money over there. And these people saying, well, listen, we live in this land of plenty. There's plenty for everybody. How about you throwing us some so that we can have some? Okay, cool. We'll throw you some, but then you got to get up every day and go help be a good student. You need straight A's. You know what I'm saying? You need to be on your way to somewhere. But the project didn't lend themselves. You can't. When everybody broke, shit, it's hard to make straight A's. Everybody broke, it's hard to concentrate on the future. We got to eat today. We can barely afford this public housing you gave us. And there's the conundrum. How do we fix that? And now how do we fix it after we've had a global housing crisis meltdown? And how do you fix it with low inventory, a pandemic, and everything else? We are woefully, the United States of America is woefully underhoused. We are behind in the millions and millions and millions of units that we need to house all of the people and single families that we need to in America. You see what I mean? They not gonna look. Don say, but everybody broke because they don't give us the same job opportunities. They not gonna give you the same job opportunities. That's not how that's not how this works. They not gonna. Then, so all of the things I said just a minute ago, money, socialism, the whole thing, add to it biases, prejudice, racism, sexism, ageism, classism. Add all of that shit to it. You get what you get. So, we are supposed to outsmart this whole system and navigate it in a way to make it in America, because it's not going to change. It's not about to change in our lifetime. It's not. I don't see it changing. I haven't seen the public housing. I've seen homelessness my entire life in America. When we the most prosperous, we are the biggest, baddest, we got the most money and everything, we also have homelessness. That tells me, as a smart person, as a person who uses common sense, we not getting rid of homelessness no time soon. If we ain't getting rid of homelessness when we have all of the money, we damn sure ain't gonna get rid of homelessness as other countries outpace us. And China's about to outpace us. So we ain't getting rid of, not under the American system we have now. You understand? And there you go, Greg. You just summed it up all the way. The rich stay rich by exploiting the poor for profit. It's up to the poor to figure out how to come up. And that's that. He can't sum it up no better. You watched, and not only, since we on here, and I usually speak from an African American standpoint, let's not forget what they call the Rust Belt, where factories in rural towns in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, all that up and down the Appalachian Trail, those factories closed down. Remember the movie Tommy Boy, when he was trying to save his father's factory so he could save the town? That happened all over America. Factories closed down because you could buy labor cheaper in other countries. If I can manufacture the same thing for less money over there and then ship it back over here and pay a premium and sell it at a premium price, well, then that helps my profit. So I'm taking my factory and move it over there. So businesses by the thousands through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s left America and went elsewhere. So while blacks were the picture of poverty in America, while blacks got the finger pointed at them for needing welfare, housing projects, and everything else, the poor whites, go look at the numbers. Go look at when you get off of this right here, go look at the numbers of poor whites that grew through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when those factories, steel factories, coal factories, or whatever, the lumber yard shut down. Oh, the docks are closed now. Nobody works on the dock. The dock yard is closed. The steel mill is closed. The lumber yard is closed. The coal yard is closed. Those jobs went away. You know what? They're not building cars anymore here. They're not making anything anymore here. It all went away. And those poor white folks got left holding nothing. You got to make it now. Now you got to make it too. Everybody do me a favor. When you get off of this, look at the number of whites. Let's look it up right now. Because we always talk in terms of black folks. What percentage of whites live below the poverty line? Okay, you can't find it out on chat. Hold on one second. Hold on. What percentage of white? Don't go nowhere, y'all. I'm about to go. Live below the poverty level. Dang. Let me see. How many white Americans? Oh my God. Anyway, Google it. How many white Americans live in poverty? 24.62 million white folks live in poverty. 24 million. How many black people live in poverty in America? 8 million black folks live in poverty in America. Now, Don pulled up the percentage. Race, while the poverty rate for the population as a whole is 11.6, the rate varies by race. Blacks have the highest poverty rate at 19.5, boom, boom, boom. But Don, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. We have the highest poverty rate, but our rate is adjusted to how many of us there are. We have 8 million blacks living under the poverty level, right? They got 24 million whites living under the poverty level because there's more white people in America, right? So even though they have a lower percentage of whites living below the poverty level, it still equals more people. We have the highest percentage of poverty amongst any group, but we still have less people living under poverty than the whites, even though we have a higher percentage. You see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? This came from the United States Census. She's asked whose stats these are. These are the census. These are the census. So when you do the percentages, see, we like them numbers. That's why you got to know them mortgage rates. Let's talk about percentages. So you see what just happened with the percentages. Blacks have the highest percentage of poverty. Blacks have the highest number of people living below the poverty level in their community out of anybody in America, right? The descendants of the slaves have the highest level of poverty in America, right? However, and look, that's the sad part. They don't even count the American Indian, the indigenous people. They don't even count them. They count. It's a whole nother system. You got to do that another way. But then, if you look at the numbers, we can see the percentages. So, of course, as a speaking point, well, blacks have the highest poverty rate amongst anyone, and blacks use more welfare than anybody. No, we don't. No, we do not. We only got 8 million people using welfare. Y'all got 25 million people using welfare. So when they point the finger, oh, you ain't nothing but a welfare. No. We have never. But propaganda made us the poster child. And you can start to hit the statistic. You know it's more of them without a job. Anything else, you won't hire us. You don't want us at your job. Bias, prejudice, racism, all those other things playing. Yeah, you ain't want us there. Of course we have the highest. And we go make our own shit up. And that's when we go make our own job. This boy, I could talk about this shit forever. I got to go. I got to go. I got to run. Think about it. The biggest, I hope today that your biggest takeaway is that we look at things for what they really are as opposed to the headline or the thing that grabs your attention. These days, it's all about grabbing your attention. But if you get right below the surface and really examine things, you ain't even got to look hard. Y'all saw right here, I just found the numbers. Here's this is for African Americans, and this is for whites. 24.62 million for whites, and 8.892 million for blacks. And this is the poverty level at the 2020 census. Do what you will with that information. Y'all go have a great weekend. Yeah, they outnumber us. And if you remember that, you will remember that we are made the scapegoat for a lot of things in America. But just because we are made the scapegoat does not mean that those things are true. They can find all the evidence they want. Unless you can point me to where it's absolutely true, not true. The truth is we do not have more people on welfare. We got 8 million, they got 24 million. Do we have a higher percentage of our people on welfare? Yeah, I give you that. But we don't have more people on welfare. So when the welfare dollars come out, it ain't more of us taking it. It's more of everybody else taking it. What? What? Give us the worst, don't want to educate, won't let us get a real good education. Then we out here in the world with no education and then say, oh, these uneducated blacks, let's sell them subprime loans. We bought them subprime loans, collapsed the whole shit. And you notice they don't talk about it much. You want to know why they don't talk about it much? Because the people who sold us those loans don't want the stench of doing shitty work, of having a shitty practice on their hands. Y'all notice all those banks that got bailed out back then don't never say nothing about the bailout? They don't never talk about the global housing crisis no more? Because their hands was way dirtier than anybody who took that loan. They were 10 times as guilty as the people who took the loans. And they will never bring that shit up. Shh. 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 They say shh. You notice we don't never talk about it? No banks, no, all of that shit that happened in 2008. You notice no banks are ever, we don't talk about how much Bank of America's thriving, Wells Fargo's thriving, Sandy Springs is thriving, all these banks thriving. But they almost collapsed the whole fucking planet by doing shitty practices, by taking advantage of black folks who they did not educate, who the schools wouldn't educate, who they've been exploiting ever since 19. They took advantage, and that shit came back and bit them in the ass. And they will never, you notice they never say nothing about that. And we over here blind to the fact, so we don't never say nothing about it. Keep giving the banks our money and everything else. The other big takeaway I want you to take away from this is niggas don't pay attention, man. All of this stuff that I'm sitting here telling you, nigga, I'm a comedian. I ain't supposed to know none of this shit. I'm no economist. Come on, man. But the shit is right in front of us. It's sitting right here in our hands. Wendy! Hey, Wendy. Hello, Wendy. Morgan State, everybody, black ass bunch, please welcome my good friend Wendy to the broadcast this morning. Wendy, we here every morning. Welcome to the black ass bunch. You hear this song right here? This song right here, Wendy, is called Get Your Black Ass Up. Get your black ass up. So welcome. I'm here every morning from 9 to 10. We kind of staying over this morning because we talking about some real shit. We're talking about how, we were talking about housing. I don't know if you know I'm a realtor, Wendy, and how you can buy or not buy in these days and times. What took us down the rabbit hole of talking about the 2008 financial crash and how it was tied into America's exploitation of blacks. The blacks that they didn't educate, the blacks that they continue to underfund the schools, the blacks that they continue to marginalize and everything else. They gave home loans to these people, knowing that these people couldn't pay them all. When the interest rates started rising, the banks now said we need our money back for them loans, and they did not have the money for them loans. Those homes went into foreclosure. Those banks had to sell off those loans, and then the global economy, not just America's economy, that shit rocked Canada, Mexico, all of South America, Europe. It reverberated around the globe. I was illustrating how important real estate is. I was also illustrating how important our understanding of real estate is for bridging the wealth gap like we keep talking about. I was pretty much expounding on the information that's out here every day. And I guess the point I was getting to is that if we do not educate ourselves with that information, it's bound to happen again to you and your family or to us as a community. If we don't start doing, these systems rely on the fact that you don't know shit. That's why salespeople treat you like that. That's why banks treat you like, you walk into the bank with your hat in your hand. You might be the biggest motherfucker at your job, but you walk into the bank and give them all the deference in the world. Because they know that you don't know shit. They know that I have information that you don't have. But if you arm yourself with all the information, you walk into the bank like, man, give me approve this loan today. You ever seen somebody who know how to work money? It be some wild shit. They go on that motherfucker, tell the person sitting on the other side of that computer, I need the $50,000 today. Give me the branch manager, and I need it all in hundreds, and I got 45 minutes to get it done. This motherfucker start typing, look at that account. He know what he talking about with this money. They get it. Because they think we don't read shit. And the sad fact is, Tamara, most people don't read shit. Most people do not read a thing. And I'm guilty. I was guilty of it for a very, very long time. My shit changed, to be quite honest, my shit changed when I became a music producer. Because to learn how to use this machine right here, I had to read the whole manual. I still have the manual down there in that drawer. So I started reading everything and getting the finer points, understanding the finer points. That helped me in real estate. It helps me in my business dealings. It helps me in like the coffee and everything else. You see now, I'm so due diligent on this, getting this legal shit for this coffee right, that I'm taking my sweet time with it. Because I took care of every little nuance in that bitch. Because you ain't tricking me no more. And I'm teaching that same practice to my children. You ain't tricking me no never motherfucking again. All right. We got to get out of here. It's 10:20. We stayed 20 minutes over what we usually stay. I will see y'all again on Monday morning, 9 a.m. Y'all gonna have a great weekend. I'm in Baltimore performing this weekend. Y'all gonna have a great time. I'll be back here on Monday. Get your black ass up. And since we here, hey, Wendy, you still here or you left already? Wendy, you still here or you left already? Send me a thumbs up if you still here, Wendy. I want to show you something. Uh-huh. Yep. My code, she says, hold on. All right, Wendy, I got to show you one thing. Wendy, I don't know if you know I'm a music producer. All the music you hear here is my music. Right? But Wendy, I don't know if you ever seen this right here. Check me out. This your boy. I produced this and I spit this. It's available on all platforms right now. Check your boy out. Check me out, Wendy. Wendy went to Morgan State with me, y'all. I don't know if you ever seen this. Tell everybody, go check to listen to me. I said he don't like me, she don't like me. Everybody seems to want me. Gone, gone, gone. But fuck it, they wrong, wrong, wrong. I said he don't like me and she don't like me. Everybody seems to want me. Gone, gone, gone. But fuck it, man, all y'all wrong. Caught up in the characters of America's fucked up narrative. They say the straight black man in the black community is a terrorist. Straight black man can't never win. Straight black man is gon' need a therapist. Cause the straight black man is the worst that it's ever been. Blaming me for shit I ain't never did. Man, can't a nigga ever live? Can't a nigga ever live? I've been out here killing it. Still trying to sell me that I'm ignorant. Demon can't tell I'm different and diligent. And demon can't tell where a nigga been born suspect, but a nigga been innocent. You man up on them and they mark you as militant. Mark you as mad and belligerent. Man, fuck y'all images, fuck they images. He don't like me, she don't like me. Everybody seems to want me. Gone, gone, gone. But fuck it, they wrong, wrong, wrong. Say he don't like me and she don't like me. Everybody seems to want me. Gone, gone, gone. But fuck it, man, all y'all wrong. Who you calling a bitch though? What is you calling her a bitch for? Watch that bitch glow, watch that bitch blow. See, that's the part there that you didn't know. Getting mo. Why you hating on her black girl magic? Her black girl drive, all her black girl savage. So divine that she had to hashtag it. Her life matters and she had to have at it. She been out here killing it. Didn't figure, but you acting like she ignorant. Paying her, that's still magnificent. Watch her shatter that glass into little bits. Master degrees while you mastering mad. Master a master, holding you back. Master a madness and average. Basic and tragic, trashing her passion.
Say he don't like me, she don't like me. Everybody seems to want me.
Say what?
Gone, gone, gone.
What you say then?
Wrong, wrong, wrong. Say he don't like me and she don't like me. Everybody seems to want me. Gone, gone, gone. But fucking man, all y'all wrong.
You done blackball me, redline me, whitewash me, still can't define me. Try and dick me down and then still deny me. Yeah, try and fuck me, sneak up behind me, but boom, I ain't bought up blindly, so boom, you ain't gotta remind me, cause bitch, my mind be like a flower in bloom. Sky with a room, that's the life assignment. And whom, what's and never should try me, then boom, big boom from what's behind me. Full pack of black excellent facts, black excellent acts, black excellent stats. Won't succumb to your bum ass acts, and when your bum ass come ass, I done no jack. And when your young ass come ass, I run that back, cause all my scholars had scars all up on they back. Let's go. Woo! Alright y'all, time for me to go.
Seems to want me.
Available on all platforms right now. Go bump my record, share my
Say
record.
he don't
I'll see
like
y'all
me,
later.
she don't like me. Everybody seems to want me. Gone, gone, gone. The fucking man, all y'all wrong. Say he don't like me, she don't like me. Everybody seems to want me. Gone.